if you're in the publishing space, you know that there is a ton of really bad author advice out there because anybody can jump on TikTok or a YouTube channel or a live stream and say that they are qualified to give you information, usually because they're trying to solicit sales from you, and not be qualified, not have the credentials, not have anything verified. So you need to make sure you're getting your advice from someone who is qualified. You always need to be looking up the person and backing up the information they're giving you. So if you're learning from me, you've probably already verified I am who I am and I have the credentials that I have. You can go on Google, you can look everywhere. I am everywhere. And you can see I'm an industry leader in multiple industries. So I've got that qualification. You can verify that. But even so, you should not be taking what I say as the sole piece of advice that you're getting. You should be verifying the conversations that I am having. Back me up. Double check these things. Take it all with a grain of salt until you've checked it out, even from trusted sources like me. So as you're taking all their advice, do your freaking research because it could come back to bite you if you don't. With that being said, let's get into today's conversation as we continue to talk about the really bad advice in this ongoing series. Now, one that I have heard a lot of and is never going to go away and is always going to be there is that the bestseller lists are accurate representations of the numbers of books that were sold in that week. So think about the big lists that come out every week. Those are not accurate representations of the books that were truly sold that week because they don't look at the whole picture. They're not looking at all the numbers. They are working with very specific data sets. Now, this is a very deep conversation we're not getting into today, but the overview is that these companies that are putting out these lists are looking from data from specific locations. They work with specific retailers to get that information and to make those determinations. And they can work with retailers that are online. They can work with retailers that are brick and mortar. They can work with chains, but only certain stores within that chain they look at as a representation of it. So think of a big book chain, and then there's only certain stores in certain cities that are reporting information, not across the country, not across the world. So they are getting their representations from very limited data sets. And it is very easy for people to go and buy high numbers of books from specific retailers to bump up their numbers. Very, very easy to change things because it's only from certain data sets. So those big lists, not good representations. Good representations are to go to the actual retailers. The Amazon lists, those are going to be better representations because it's qualifying the number of sales that it has made on that platform across the board without limitations. The big lists additionally have very specific requirements. A lot of indie or self-published authors aren't even allowed to make the list. They don't even qualify to make the list because they're only looking at the big companies. So those lists, while nice and they sound good, are not anywhere near an accurate representation of what actually sold during the course of that week, and you should take that into consideration when you're making decisions on what books to read. Another really outdated piece of advice that I've been hearing is that you should have a different pen name for every genre that you write in. Meaning if you write sci-fi and fantasy, those are two different pen names. Now we are well into the 2020s now, and this is just ridiculous information for most people and most genres. We do not necessarily need to have different pen names. Back in the day, this was to help qualify your audience because if somebody liked sci-fi, they probably also wouldn't like fantasy. Anybody just flinch at that? That was the mindset. And so they thought you have to have all of your sci-fi here and all of your contemporary here and all of your fantasy here and be drastically different people and not cross-promote any of that. Now, especially with the rise of social media, we see people who have a love for multiple genres. People want to know who that author is and follow them no matter what they're writing in. We want to know the other things that they're writing. And so for the most part, you can have them under one name, under one umbrella, and then people will be smart enough, because we're not underestimating our readers here, they're smart enough to know this is a sci-fi, this is a fantasy. Like, it's very clear in our marketing and our branding and the way that we have packaged these books and the way we've written our blurbs. They know what they're getting themselves into. It's not going to be a surprise. So having multiple pen names really does not significantly help an author and can very much hurt an author. Because if you have somebody who really likes you as this type of author, but doesn't know you exist as this type of author, that's going to cost you sales. That means you have to build multiple marketing channels. You have to be daily marketing for 2 different authors who aren't supposed to be connected. So you really need to take that into consideration when you're writing your novels. Now, I will say you should have some separation between drastically different things. If you are somebody who writes contemporary romance novels for adults and picture books for children, maybe not so much. If you're somebody who is writing middle grades books and erotica, let's not do that. So you want to make sure if it's drastically different, if it's like age group differences, now you can separate those things. By all means, keep the things differentiated if it's going to be problematic. But for the most part, if somebody reads your sci-fi, they're probably also going to read your fantasy. And if they really like you, they might also read that contemporary or that mystery or that thriller or whatever. So I like to see most things housed under one umbrella. It is even problematic for people right now who are saying this so-and-so writing as so-and-so. If you slap both names onto it, it's not a great crossover. So we're very much in this transition state right now where people are learning and realizing having multiple pen names doesn't serve anybody anymore, or very rarely serves anybody anymore. So take that into consideration as you are making your author journey and making those decisions. I'm seeing a lot of people who are just merging everything. They are restructuring their pen names to remove the pen names and go to their main name and just redoing all their covers, redoing all of their metadata, all of those things to get it under one umbrella, because that's what's going to make you more sales and grow your author platform better. And of course, we can't forget one that is very popular on social media, and that is that you can write quotes or song lyrics or even people, real people, into your novels. We have had conversations with everybody's favorite IP entertainment lawyer, Tony, here on the channel about whether or not you can legally do this. And the answer is no, you can't. You can't. He breaks down everything. I'll link the episodes for you. You don't want to miss out on that one. But please don't go writing quotes from famous people at the start of your book unless you license it, like pay to license. Don't go writing song lyrics, pay to license, or you can get in huge legal trouble. There's a lot of things that you can't do from real world things. So if you were trying to write stuff into your book, check with your lawyer first so that you don't get sued. Or check with my lawyer. My lawyer's in the playlist. We've got lots of episodes on this that will help guide you through the process. But please don't take other people's identities or IP and try to use it in your book. Now lean in on this one because I'm going to save you some money. One really bad piece of advice that we have heard over the years is that you should pay for book reviews. Quite frankly, you can't pay for book reviews. It is not legal to pay for book reviews. You can get banned from Amazon and all the places if you're paying for book reviews. The one exception to this is something like a Kirkus review where you could pay to have them review your book. But I will tell you right now, complete honesty here, for 99.999% of everything, those things don't matter anymore. Nobody cares about what those big magazines and places have to say about your book. Slapping that on your book isn't going to help sell more copies. So you should not be paying for reviews from reviewers. I know a lot of you are going to be getting like DMs from people. I'm a professional reviewer. Pay me XYZ and I will do this. Legally, you can't do that. Legally, you are not allowed to be paying people to review your stuff. In fact, if you do that, the only place you would be able to use it is like on your website. You cannot use it to promote your book in any other way on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or all of those places. And you don't want to be paying for like some of these big, well-known companies to give you a quote that was popular a decade and a half ago that is no longer really relevant today. Save yourself some money. There's better ways to do this. If you want to talk about better ways to get like author blurbs and quotes and marketing, go ahead and drop those down below. We've talked about it in other episodes. We've talked about it in live streams, but I am always making new episodes for you. So drop your questions on this one. Speaking of marketing, another one that I have pervasively heard in this industry that is no longer accurate, it used to be, but it is no longer accurate, is that authors can get readers to market for them for free. So many authors over the years, and especially now, are trying to send big name TikTokers and Instagrammers and YouTubers copies of their book so that they can create free content for them. That doesn't fly anymore. We live in the world of influencers. This is the age of content creators and peer-to-peer marketing. You cannot even approach somebody and say, if I give you this book, can you market it for free? If you are going to be getting marketing, those people need to be paid. Now, sometimes you'll find super fans that just help you out. People who just really love your book, who just really want to have those conversations, and they are more than happy to help you on that. But please, please, please don't reach out to anybody, including me, because I do a lot of marketing for a lot of people, and ask me or any other influencer in the social media space to take a free copy of your book to create content for. We won't. We all know our worth. We know our value, and we know what it's worth to put that content out on social media. We know how to get you sales, and you will be paying for that. Because you have to. You have to pay for your marketing. Your marketing is paid for by your time and effort or your money. Sometimes both. And you cannot just expect somebody to take a free copy of your book and market it on your behalf. You will make sales from that, and they won't. And people know better now. So with that in mind, you need to start saving up. You need to start understanding that you're going to them asking for pricing on these things. And for the most part, you're going to do really well for your money, especially on social media, especially on Book Talk on TikTok. If you can find TikTok creators who you can pay to market your book, that is going to be more effective than most ads that you can run on social media. It's going to be really helpful, and it might be a bit of cash up front. It's not cheap to do these things, but it goes really, really well. I have had videos of mine go into hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views in like 20, 30-minute periods, 3-4 months after I posted it. Social media can do so well for you. And if they have a built-in audience, that's incredible. But you gotta go into it with the mindset of you are paying for a BookBub ad, except this is a social media person with higher qualified viewers for you. So do not try to ask people to do things for free. That answer is going to be a hard no, and you deserve whatever they say back to you if you try it. Make sure you go into it with the same consideration of you wanting people to pay for your books, right? You don't want people stealing your books. You don't want people putting your work out to the public for free. They should not have to do their work for free either. Now, this one is a little bit controversial because we as authors love to think that when we're putting effort into our marketing, it's going to yield results for us. Now, specifically, I want to talk about book signings. If you are going to do a book signing, most authors think it's going to be profitable. And for most of you, it's not, especially if you have to travel. Because when it comes to book signings, you have to pay for the table. You have to pay for the entire stock of books that you're going to have there. You have to pay to return any of those books to you if you have traveled, meaning you have to mail them back to yourself if you are not driving. You are going to have to pay for travel, for lodging. You're going to have to pay for marketing materials. You're going to have to pay for your displays. You're going to have to pay for a lot. It's a lot of money out of pocket, and most authors do not make back that money once you take into consideration the cost of the table, the travel, and the lodging just by themselves, not any of the other things you have to buy. You can maybe break even on the books that you've sold and maybe make a little profit on the books that you've sold, but you still have to cover all that other stuff. So while you will make money, while you'll cover some of your expenses, if you break even on this event, that's considered really, really good. Now, the caveat to this is if you're famous, especially social media famous, you will have a lot of people show up just to meet you. You can do really well. You can be very profitable at these events. But for 90% of the people in the room with you, they are not making profit. They are hopefully breaking even, but probably not. Book signings, book events are considered marketing. And for a lot of people, you're making the sales after the event. You're seeing them go and purchase your ebook from Amazon a week later, a month later, a year later, because they remember you from that event. But please do not go into a situation thinking you're going to make your money back. You have to go into it with the knowledge that you're probably not making your money back and you're spending money to create marketing and to create community and to have that experience. They're fun. It's so worth it to go and do it. But for a lot of people, especially people who are not Instagram, TikTok, YouTube famous, it is going to cost you more than you will make to go to these events. And you have to consider it marketing, and then you have to leverage it as marketing. Please don't think this is going to be a payday for you. It's probably not, and you're probably going to owe a little bit on some of those things, depending on where you're going, how often you're doing it. So you have to take that into consideration when you're booking these events. How much money do you have to blow on this event, assuming you're not going to make that all back? Just take it into consideration as you're making those decisions and then grow from there and make sure you market the heck out of it before you go there. Pre-orders, also very, very helpful for these book signings to make sure you don't lose a lot of money by ordering things that you don't then sell. But that's all in other conversations we've had here on the episodes, so make sure you check out the information in those playlists as well. And finally, for this episode, one of the big things that we see a lot in this industry is that authors are getting emails from companies saying their book was selected for something. That could be your book was selected to display at a book signing. Your book was selected to enter an award competition. Your book was selected to highlight in our newsletter. Your book was selected to display on our website. Please share this with your followers. Those things are scams. Those are all scams made to take advantage of authors and usually to cost you money or to get access to your audience. So we see people who are like creating those lists of free or cheap books or books you should read this week, and they ask you to share with their audience. They're trying to build their company through you by using your audience because they found your book and they wanted to represent it. People will take your money to display your book at a book signing. Please don't do that. We've talked about that before. Don't ever do that. But these people who will they just go to Amazon, they go into a category and they look up the things in the category and they email everybody en masse. It is really just a lot of phishing. It's a lot of just trying to get your money. It's never good. So if somebody says your book was selected for something and it doesn't come from an official company like KDP, your book was selected to be featured. If it's not like that, it's a scam. And if you have questions on that, please just email me. Just literally forward that email to me. I will let you know if it's a red or green flag. I want you to not get scammed in this industry, and I want to make sure that you are not wasting your time or your effort or your energy or your money on these terrible, terrible scams. Just because it says your book was selected, so were hundreds of other people. It's just a mass email that they send to people. The more you're in this industry, the more you will learn about these scams and very easily be able to identify them. But we're not done yet. There's lots of bad author advice out in the world. We're going to continue this series. Let me know what terrible author advice you've heard or questionable author advice that you need to know if it's a red or green flag. We talk about both here on the channel, but this is kind of a fun little series that's doing well on the channel, so we're going to keep up with it. Let me know what we need to talk about in the next episode and follow for daily episodes helping you navigate the world of publishing from your writing to your publishing to your marketing to make this your most profitable year ever with least amount of stress and overwhelm and time commitment on the content you're creating. We'll see you then.